What's up, y'all? Welcome to Move the Sticks. I'm Bucky Brooks, and I am with my man today, Steve Wyche, network everything, insider reporter, host, analyst, play-by-play man when it comes to the HBCU games and all of those things. Look, Steve, what's up, man? What's happening?
Bucky, how awesome is this? Like, what people don't know, let's take a behind-the-scenes, Bug. It had to be about 12 years ago before the whole podcast game is what it is. You and I had one of the first podcasts that NFL media ever did, the Cover 2 podcast. And what I want to tell people from back then is that you were like a year ahead of the whole world on the Seahawks emerging as like the dominant team for 4 or 5 years. You're like, I'm telling you, I'm like, Buck, shut up, man. You know what you're talking about. And then you nailed it. You were on it. So this is good. Always good to be back with you, my man.
Man, it's always good to be back, and I appreciate you representing. You have the HU Howard Bison in full effect. It is almost like, I can't even call it a renaissance. I don't know what this could be. It could be the year of the Bison. For those, if you know, you know. But it's been really, really cool to kind of see that, to see you always representing. And I think we may have more conversations about Howard and everything Howard down the line.
Hey, real quick, Howard plays Hampton Institute on Saturday as well.
The real HU is a battle between the real HU.
No, there's only one.
You got Howard.
Only HU. As Jay Skywalker would say, the only HU. My parents are Hamptonians. They went to Hampton Institute.
Oh, I dig it. So I will say this, and those of you who follow the stuff that Steve and I do with HBCU kickoff game, the Legacy Bowl, and those things. Hey, Steve, man, HBCUs have been popping this year. Like, just following along and seeing some of the scores and all that other stuff. FAMU kind of got it going. I saw Eddie George and Tennessee State kind of making amends. Grambling kind of doing it. I mean, like, it's interesting to watch. I think it's going to make for a fun adventure when we get to New Orleans at the beginning of next year to talk about some of the players playing the HBCU Legacy Bowl.
Love it.
Love it. So look, Steve, so here's what we do on these days. We like to preview games. We like to break down all of the things, talk about what guys should look forward to this weekend when the teams match up. And so we're going to start with, it's time for Game of the Week presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. This week is the Texans against the Vikings. The spread is -2 favoring the Texans. The over-under is 46. Steve, I mean, I know everyone thought the Texans would be this, but the Minnesota Vikings are real. Give me some insight. What you think about when we
well, here's the thing. Like, are they real? I think they are. I was saying coming in, like Sam Darnold, that was a big question mark. You know, can he keep this role going? But I think, Bucky, what people don't understand is the coaching staff that they have up there in Minnesota. I think Kevin O'Connell has proven himself to be an excellent coach. I think he showed it last year when he had to go deep into the depth chart and was coaching up guys like Josh Dobbs and Max, you know, and Jaron Hall and guys like that. Brian Flores is doing his thing defensively, right? So this is going to be an excellent defensive game. I know you said that over-under, but like when we talk about the Texans and C.J. Stroud and Stephon Diggs and all that, their defense with Danielle Hunter, the former Viking, bookending Will Anderson, and their linebackers, Azeez Al-Shaair and Henry To'o, the speed they have, and the secondary, I mean, Lassiter, you've got Jimmy Ward, you've got Jalen Petrie, and you've got Stingley. This is, I mean, the Texans are loaded on defense. The Vikings are so disciplined on defense. I think this is actually going to be a lower scoring game because of the defenses in there, the Jonathan Kennard, Danielle Hunter Bowl, as they have swapped teams in this game. But again, we can look at the quarterbacks, talk about all the offense we want, but this is going to be a defensive game between two of the best defenses in the NFL.
You know, this is really a good one because what Brian Flores did last week against San Francisco 49ers, just a constant changing of the picture post-snap after giving a different look pre-snap, just kind of speaks to his, I would say, his ingenuity when it comes to being a defensive play caller. Someone needs to pay close attention to what he's doing. I know he's going through the lawsuit or whatever, but this dude is a head coach. This dude is beyond just being a coordinator. He has the goods to be an effective head coach, and I think he'd do a much better job the second time around. But in looking at what he's done with this Vikings team, he has been able to really take, I would say, the defensive backfield and kind of use their collective skills and their intelligence to really daze and confuse quarterbacks. And then when you look up front, they're able to get pressure. They're rotating folks in. They got a bunch of different contributions from, I would say, unheralded playmakers. Even though Jonathan Grenard is a really good player, they are really throwing it at it. And when you go on offense and you think about Kevin O'Connell, one of the best play callers, play designers, quarterback-friendly gurus that you can find. Really good team in Minnesota. This is going to be a tough task for the Houston Texans.
And here's something to also take note. Okay, we just saw what Flores did to the 49ers, as you mentioned. Guess what? The Texans run the same offense. Bobby Slowick came from the 49ers to run the same offense in Houston. And Joe Mixon is not going to be playing for the Texans. We know he's out with that ankle injury. It's going to be Cam Akers playing running back. So this game is going to be a heavy dose of C.J. Stroud in that passing game. And, B-Flow and those two safeties that he's got back there, man, Harrison Smith and Cam Bynum and Josh Metellus. Bucky, we've got to start talking about this dude. Josh Metellus is one of the best DBs in terms of impact in the NFL.
Yeah, no, they've been so good, man. The entire secondary has just been so good. They do a lot. And I'll say this, man, this will be a very stern test for the Houston Texans. The problem that you have with the Minnesota Vikings, you can have all that. You can have all the pre-snap stuff or whatever. But on the other side, the Texans have guys. And people talk lightly about Stephon Diggs' impact on this team because the numbers aren't what they were in Buffalo. But I will say, 2-touchdown game in the opener where you have to pay attention to him. Nico Collins, is not a coincidence, has back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yep.
Tank Dell is still dangerous as a number 3. Stephon Diggs being able to kind of slide over from number 1 to number 2, I think it makes the Texans more balanced, more dangerous, and one of the reasons why I think they are, I can't even call them a dark horse Super Bowl contender, why they have emerged as a Super Bowl contender in the AFC.
Well, they're legit, and the quarterback's legit. Nothing you can say. Even that game against the tough Bears defense where he was getting pummeled and harassed, he showed that he's that dude. So this is going to be a really, really good game. I don't know how to call it. The Vikings being at home, they are what they are. But I think the Texans' ability, we talk about the defenses, their ability from 4 spots on the defensive front to get to the quarterback is going to be an issue for the Vikings.
Yeah, it's going to be an issue. If I was to advise anybody who was kind of looking at this game and may want to participate in some activities, I would say take the under. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored. No. I think it's going to be a game that's going to be won in the fourth quarter, and quarterback play is going to decide everything. To me, that makes me lean towards the Texans, even though I believe Sam Darnold is really doing a lot for his case to be a high-priced free agent next year as a quarterback.
I'm with you. Hey, Bucky, another game I think we need to hit on, and we're talking about defenses.
Hold on.
Eagles.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Let me pay off the sponsor. Make sure you guys download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code MTS. New customers can bet $5 to get $250 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook and code MTS. The crown is yours. Now let's talk about the Eagles and talk about all the excitement that you just had about the Eagles and what is going on in Philadelphia.
Hey, Buck, it's the same thing that was going on at the end of last year. We saw in the game against Atlanta when it came, cutting time, that defensive spine, the defensive interior, the linebackers, and then the secondary, it couldn't hold up. Kirk Cousins went downfield in like 40 seconds with no timeouts.
Yep.
Win that ball game. We saw Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier run all over this defense. Well, guess what? Derek Carr in this offense, haven't they scored on like 15 consecutive possessions? Their punter is like in Cancun right now because this offense is putting points on the board. So if Philadelphia cannot come up with some type of game plan against this Clint Kubiak offense, which just looks ridiculous with Alvin Kamara running in that outside zone stretch scheme, this could be another L for the Philadelphia Eagles, and then it's panic time, right? Jalen Hurts played very well in that game Monday night. People can say this or that. He carried them because without A.J. Brown on offense, that passing game is not the same. But defense to me against the way the Saints are playing right now is an issue.
Yeah, so, okay, let's talk about the Saints. I'm going to be honest. I didn't have a lot of confidence in the Saints.
Me either.
Even though I know New Orleans is your city and you just love to be the foodie of the year. And it is in Steve Wyche's best interest if the New Orleans Saints are good because it enables him to go down on work business and fulfill some of the foodie pleasures that he enjoys when he partakes in the things around the city. I'll say this. The New Orleans offense is lights out. Clint Kubiak has done a wonderful job, I would say, updating the offense while keeping the main thing the main thing. And in the National Football League, the main thing is to make sure that the stars get enough touches to impact the game. Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, two of the headliners of this offense, their impact is all over the success of the Saints. And Alvin Kamara in particular, I think people have forgotten that for the longest time, it was Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara in terms of the new prototype at the position. Clint Kubiak has issued a reminder to the football world, hey, AK-41 is legit. He is someone that you got a game plan around. If you don't take care of him, it's going to be a long day. Clint Kubiak's ability to blend this offense with some of the San Francisco 49ers stuff, pre-snap, motion, shifts, or whatever, while making Kamara the focal point, that's why they're busting clock on people. Because Alvin Kamara is that too.
And here's what he did, right? There were some questions about that offensive line, especially at left tackle, right? You know this very well, Bucky. That stretch zone scheme is not about man versus man. It is about the offensive lineman going to a spot and picking up what other obstacles in front of his way. You can mask guys who are not great man-on-man blockers. And that's what he's been able to do. Because for all these points the Saints are putting up, especially the way that they murked the Dallas Cowboys last week, Derek Carr only threw the ball 19 times. They ran all up and down the field on them with what they're doing. That is the crux of this offense. To me, that is the weakness of this Eagles defense. I just, if the Eagles go down there and get a win in the stand-up and get Crunk Dome, I'll be surprised. I think it's good. I think WIP and Talk Radio in Philly is going to be smoking hot after this game because I think the Saints are going to continue rolling.
Well, it's going to be smoking hot after this game because there's going to be a bit of a hangover effect. I don't care what anyone says. The way that they lost that game, that tends to linger. You lose on Monday night. The game is in hand. You got the game under control. And then in the last minute, the Falcons steal a game that they shouldn't have won. Yeah, all of the bad feelings from last year kind of creep into the locker room. And unless they jump out to a fast start, it is going to be hard for Nick Sirianni to kind of bring them back this week. Also, the Saints are pretty good. So I'm kind of with you on that. Saints over the Eagles.
Yep, Saints defense is good too.
Let's go to another game. So this is, I think, man, we could have featured this as a game of the week, but it's an interesting game. Pittsburgh Steelers against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are riding high. Jim Harbaugh has come in, completely changed the culture. And then you have Mike Tomlin doing what he does. They may not score a lot of points on offense, but, man, they are a rough and rugged bunch. This is going to be kind of the battle of the bullies, but it's going to be in Three Rivers.
Three Rivers. I like how you went back. Are we going to call are we going to call Lumen Stadium the Kingdom?
Well, I mean, regardless of whether it's called Heinz Field or whatever it's called right now, there's still Three Rivers. Acrisure. There's still Three Rivers that meet in the middle of the city. So we can call it whatever it is. But look, this is an old school affair. I mean, you talk about two coaches that really love to get after it. They give you coach speak. They give you intelligence. They kind of bring it together with these old school squads. I kind of like this matchup.
Here's what I'm looking at for this game, Bucky, is can the Chargers, who've been averaging roughly 200 yards a game rushing, do it against this defense that's allowing about 78 yards a game rushing, right? Are the Chargers for real, right? They win week 1, and then they come and they beat up on that JV team from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Is it really a JV team? Is it a JV team or a middle school team?
Okay. Well, we'll see what they're going to be after this week. But so we're going to see. But here's the other thing I find very interesting about this 3 yards in a cloud of dust bowl is the Steelers haven't scored. Like the Chargers have only allowed 13 points. Okay, again, their opponents aside, the Raiders week 1, the Chargers week 2. That defense has kept teams out of the end zone. That's a hard thing to do in the NFL, regardless of who you're playing. But the strength of their defense is on their edges, right? You've got Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and Tuli Tuipulotu. What is the best way to neutralize great edge rushers in the run game, Bucky? Make them play assignment football. Mm-hmm. How do you play assignment football? You run option and RPO them, right? They've got to be decisive. And this is where I think Arthur Smith is going to use Justin Fields' running ability in that RPO and option game to keep the Chargers defense off balance. You don't want to throw it too many times against the Chargers. But I mean, the thing that Fields and George Pickens have going, they've got some legit chemistry there. But if they can set this up with that option run game and that RPO game, they might be able to hit some big plays, some plays that they really haven't been able to use to get into the end zone in their first 2 games.
Yeah, no, I think Justin Fields is the dynamic. He's the X factor, even though everyone knows he's a starting quarterback. The X factor, because what he's able to add to this offense as a runner could make it very, very difficult to defend. When you think about the Chargers defense, though, like Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa coming off the edge, you have Derwin James, who's really thriving in his role.
He's been
It's
great.
kind of like the super safety. Jesse Minter's done a really good job. And Jim Harbaugh, this is what he does. He does a great job of not only identifying coaches, but putting coaches in positions where they can succeed. Chargers are tough out, man. And I will say this. I've always believed in the Harbaugh program and his turnaround capabilities, but I didn't know if it would happen this fast. Man, you talk about a team that really drinks the Kool-Aid. They are drinking the Kool-Aid on his old school version of smash mouth ball. Look, man, I'm going to give them the nod simply because if it comes down to needing a score, Justin Herbert over Justin Fields, the playmaking ability as a pocket passer gives him the nod in this battle of the quarterbacks.
Remember, Justin Herbert did not practice Wednesday because of the ankle. We still do expect him to play. But we'll just see how this works. Because one thing about the Chargers that we all need to recognize, they're not going to beat themselves. They're not going to be a turnover team, and they're not going to be a high penalty team. That's a Harbaugh trait, and that's something in a game like this that's important. Bucky, let's go to your favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. They play the Detroit Lions. The Arizona Cardinals are hanging points on people, Buck. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray is balling. The Detroit Lions, turnovers. Jared Goff went back into that turnover wormhole last week. Lions at Cardinals. This is a very intriguing game just because the Lions don't seem to have found their actual offensive footing. Like teams are starting to maybe catch up a little to Ben Johnson and some of his personnel groupings that have allowed them to out-scheme teams. Now, I don't know if Arizona is going to be one of those teams to be able to do that, but Arizona can score. That offensive line is playing better. James Conner's running the football. And again, Kyler Murray, who I love. I've always been a Kyler Murray fan. When he's on the field, they win ball games. So I think this is going to be a tough game for the Lions. We're going to find out if Arizona's for real, though.
Yeah, we are going to find out if Arizona's for real. Kyler Murray is intriguing because he seems like he got his confidence back, his swagger's back. He's doing a really good job getting the ball to the playmakers. Marvin Harrison Jr., after a slow, very not impactful debut, he kind of shows the football world why he was that dude that everyone talked about in the draft. And I'm going to give this guy credit, man, because I often wondered how he was going to be in front of the room. Jonathan Gannon must have some stuff that we don't see in front of the camera that really makes him revered and respected behind closed doors. He's done a really good job of getting this team to play hard. They've been a consistently hard playing team, but now they're getting the wins. And so as they continue to win, you got to be careful. It's a dangerous team. I just think to me, the Lions are still the better team. And even though it gets sideways for them a little bit, I just think from a talent standpoint, the Lions just have too many pieces of the puzzle together to drop another one.
Yeah, and they can run the football. I mean, Dave Montgomery is one of the better players we don't talk about enough. I think this is going to be a good game. Hey, but a game that really intrigues me, though, Bucky, and it's coming off of the disastrous game for the Bears last week against the Texans. They played Indianapolis. Okay, both these teams need a win in the worst way. When I look at this game, it's funny, man, because Caleb Williams, I mean, he got his head kicked in this game, and now, okay, the Colts aren't going to have DeForest Buckner, but they still got Kwity Paye. They still got some guys, Zaire Franklin. They've got speed. They've got some dudes on this defense. They have not played well yet thus far. I think this might be a game where this Bears offense can finally get going.
Yeah, they got to hope so. Now, here's the thing that goes in Caleb Williams' favor when you deal with a Gus Bradley defense. Not a lot of tricks, not a lot of gimmicks. What they line up in, that's what they're going to play. So they can put the onus on you to out-execute them doing what they do each and every week. You're Caleb Williams. Do you have enough discipline to kind of stay to the script? Can you stick to the script, punish them with a bunch of nickel and dimers before you get the big shot? That's, to me, is where the game is won. How patient and poised can a young quarterback be?
Well, here's something though, and I really want your take on this. I watched both those Bears games, and I'm not loving the play calling. You're asking your quarterback to do an awful lot.
Yeah.
Run the darn ball. You've got some RBs, right? You've got Swift. You've got Rashawn Johnson. You've got Khalil Herbert. You got Khalil.
Yeah.
Help them out, man. Run the ball. And this is an opportunity for them to run the football instead of asking him to do some things where you're these slow developing pass plays and stuff like that, where he's getting his head kicked in.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that is the case, that he's not necessarily putting his guys in the best position to win, meaning not putting Caleb Williams in a position where he can hand the ball off, throw off play action, do some little simple things that a lot of young quarterbacks have a tough time doing. I love him. He's an out-of-worldly talent, but even those guys need to be reined in. You got to set them up for success. The Bears certainly can do a better job of setting their young quarterback up for success.
All right, Bucky, I know we're running tight on the clock here, but I want to ask about a team you're familiar with, because I think Jacksonville Jaguars, there are no must-wins in week 3, but they go up to Buffalo at 0-2. Trevor Lawrence has not played well, and this offense has not looked great thus far. They're playing a potential juggernaut Monday night.
Yeah, they are playing a potential juggernaut. The Buffalo Bills are even better than anyone expected. They jettisoned a handful of vets, but come back with younger players that are just really about the team. They're having a lot of success. They knocked off the Miami Dolphins in impressive fashion on Thursday night, setting up what could be and should be a big game for them in front of their home folks. They can go to 3-0. For the Jaguars have just sputtered on offense. There's no other way to slice it. I mean, bottom of the league, darn near in points per game, near the bottom in third down conversions, red zone efficiency. They're all below average. And the thing that's really a damning indictment on the play of Trevor Lawrence, and even though it's other pieces involved, third down passing percentage, 21.4%. That is 10 points below Bryce Young. And we saw what Bryce Young just did. It's an issue, and it's something that has to be addressed. They have to figure out a way to clean the game up for Trevor Lawrence so he can play at his best.
So let me ask you, for folks who may not see like you do. I mean, that third down passing percentage, is that a result of being in 3rd and 14, or is that a result of him just not being consistent when it's third manageable?
I would say it is a combination of factors. I would say it is a third and long yardage because you're losing on first downs, either run or pass, like opponents are just dominating you. And the constant harassment just changes the way that the quarterback has to operate in the pocket. He hasn't had a secure pocket that he can feel confident, that he can lay out and just kind of, hey, I'm good. I'm going to be where I'm at. I'm going to make it happen. So there's some of that, but the offense has just been plagued by poor communication, untimely penalties. The execution has been shoddy. Just overall, it just hasn't been what it needs to be to compete at a high level.
I got a question for you real quick off of this game, right? Because I think we both feel that Buffalo at home is going to win this ball game. But with the Carolina Panthers, for whatever reason they made the decision with Bryce Young, it is what it is. But is going to Andy Dalton any type of solution? Because one is going up against the Raiders, and they're not going to be able to block Max Crosby. He is the most dominant defensive player in the NFL right now, right? But what does this actually do for the team? Okay, suppose he comes in and wins ball games like you want to. You win 7 ball games. You're no longer in the quarterback market. You got to trade back up to get to the quarterback market after you just did that. Like, what do you see the benefit of going to Andy Dalton? Now, again, Bryce Young has not played well enough. If you're going strictly on football, the other 10 guys in that huddle have got to be like, get someone else in here, right? But what does Andy Dalton do to give them – I don't even know what the plan is.
I don't know if they know what the plan is. I know this. Andy Dalton has started for a long time in the league. He started as a backup the last couple years, kind of bouncing around different places, logging starts. He's fine. He shouldn't turn it over. He's going to kind of keep everything in play, but he's not going to be able to pin a masterpiece or do anything like that as a playmaker. If you're Dave Canales, you're looking for a spark. But unfortunately, I will say this. I don't know how Bryce Young can ever play back for that franchise. If they ever like, hey, man, we're ready. We want you to go. We set you down. I don't think they handled it in a fashion where he can respect them. I think this is one where it's going to be tough on him going forward.
Yeah, Buck, it's don't know what's going on there, but they are going to be back in the quarterback market after the season. And yeah, we'll see. There's still a lot of football to play. We still got 15 more to play.
15 to play real quick. Let's go 30 seconds on. We can pick a game. Oh, you know what? I'm going to pick the game because everyone knows Niners and Rams. That's going to be a dogfight. Yep. Chiefs and Falcons. That's it. Ravens, Baltimore. Ravens versus Cowboys. That's the one. 30 seconds quickly. What you thinking?
I think the Ravens, look, they've been hurt by penalties, untimely penalties, which have put them in negative yardage. I think they get it together this week, and I think they're really going to put pressure on that defense by optioning with Lamar. They're going to go right at Micah Parsons. So I like Baltimore to win this ball game.
That is a good one. Look for the Baltimore Ravens to be a little more creative. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. They're playing home. They understand the desperation. They go down 0-2. Woo! Could be tough in Big D. One thing that's not tough is not picking up the phone, calling my guy saying, hey, Steve, I need you to help me out. Come jump on the pod. Can't thank you enough for joining, having some conversations, and representing the Mecca, as they would say,
Mecca, baby.
And the line. Howard Hughes, Steve Wyche is in the building. Until next time, I'm Bucky Brooks. This is Move the Sticks. We'll catch you later.